Excelsior! So I'm going to read Project Superpowers number 0. So this was published in January of 2008. So Project Superpowers by Dynamite Entertainment. Dawn of Heroes. Ross, Kruger, Sadowski, Paul, Salazar. Project Superpowers, Issue 0. Plot, covers, and art. Direction by Alex Ross. Plot and script by Jim Kruger. Interior art by Doug Kalauba. Steven Sadowski. Interior paintings by Alex Ross. Lettering by Simon Boland. Colors by Captain Marino. Alternative incentive cover by Michael Turner with Peter Steigerwald. And there's the covers by Alex Ross, Michael Turner, Ross Incentive, and Turner Incentive. Dynamite Entertainment is ran by Nick Berrucci, the president, Juan Collado, chief operating officer, Joseph Rybant, director of marketing, Josh Johnson, creative director, and Jason Allmeyer, graphic designer. Age is not defined by years, but by regrets. I'm an old man now. Perhaps this is why forgetfulness is sort of a blessing for the aged, and why we live so much longer than we should. I was a soldier once. I did the things a soldier does. Those things haunt me still.
Bruce Carter, your death is upon you.
Last Gleaming.
You have the briefest of moments left. Only a candle's breadth remains. This I know.
No! Not again! Leave me alone! I have my own life. You had yours.
We have not met before, Bruce Carter. I am not the ghost of your colonial ancestor, your great-grandfather. I am not your guide. I have not come to tell you where best to strike at the enemy or how to win a war, but to tell you of the one you lost.
Its voice is all around me. It reeks of what I can't remember. My legs do their best. It's not even close to enough. At this rate, I'd be better without them.
You did a terrible thing, Bruce Carter. You are numbered amongst the betrayers, and yet you don't even know why.
I haven't been in this room for years, and then I remember why. Ghosts. And there I am, Bruce Carter III, the Fighting Yank, special agent under a secret commission of the OSS, made steward of a cloak of unlimited power, given weapons beyond the invention and imagination of humanity to fight more than an enemy of flesh and blood. Yes, I fought Hitler and his forces, and the combined Axis powers, but they were nothing compared to the true enemy. I see my entire life in this portrait, all of it that mattered. The thing was right. This must be death. And then the old man is gone. A young man has replaced him. A hero. I'm the Fighting Yank again. You're wrong, Yank. Hitler's merely expanding our understanding of human nature. This evil is beyond human capacity. Here we go again. I'm afraid that you're being unfair to the Fighting Yank.
The agent who died getting this information to us brought evidence of a collection of artifacts of arcane and ancient power. Some believe these death camps of his serve a metaphysical purpose, a sacrificial bargaining of power, I believe.
Hitler's obsession with the occult is merely more propaganda to appeal to the superstitious Western religious sect. Otherwise, we would have heard about it prior to our involvement in the war. In Eastern philosophy,
It's knowledge, not philosophy, not religion. That is the answer to ending this. We need to understand our enemy. Understanding him limits him. We know that Hitler's obsessions began back in World War I, with Hitler himself, as a young soldier, gaining accolades from others. His quest for power is an addiction. If Germany and its people are to be saved, they must be removed from Hitler.
which means the removal of Hitler. Exactly. Oppenheimer has harnessed the atom. We also know, though, that Hitler is close to the creation of an atomic bomb. Our effort needs to make certain that does not happen. We should strike here.
The dispatch suggests that Hitler has gotten his hands on a new source of power, the very source of evil. I'm afraid that if it were to remain in Hitler's hands, the war and the death camps are merely the beginning. I want you to steal it, Carter. No one is to know of this. Do you understand? Think of this as a test. When this war is over, the OSS and I have plans for you, Carter. We'll have a world to rebuild, a world to forge, one ready to embrace the ideology of freedom. Not everyone's going to agree on how to do that. It's hard enough getting your costumed allies to agree on anything.
Yes, sir.
They wouldn't have understood. They couldn't have. They were too obsessed with human philosophy and understanding to try to explain the horror of that time. Their minds were too small, too limited, to see that getting the box was our only hope. That this was the only way to be certain that this indeed was the war to end all wars. I'd rather die than live in a world where so much evil was merely a choice. Humanity needs to be better than that. A supernatural war that was above their heads. I could not blame the Black Terror, or the Flame, or the Green Llama for not knowing about supernatural evil, though.
We're over the drop site, Fighting Yank.
I was visited regularly by the ghost of my ancestor, a revolutionary from America's first forging. The ghost taught me how to fight, where to find power, how to engage the enemy like a rebel.
Here's what we know about Pandora's box.
I was to be sent behind enemy lines, about as far behind enemy lines imaginable, for not only the source of Hitler's evil, but of all evil.
You see, Yank, we have come to believe there is an empirical possibility that the origin of evil is mythic in nature, that the childhood stories of why things go wrong, well, that they may just be true. It's really quite simple. In the midst of the Greek gods, Pandora released all the evils in the world through the opening of her urn, her box. War, famine, sickness, evil, and sin all were loosed when Pandora opened the urn. There's more. Along with the bad, there was some good. Hope. The urn contained hope, and that's where we believe you and your costumed allies come into the play, and came into the war. We believe Hitler found the box during the First World War and reopened it before his ascent in the German ranks. The misery released is evident. We believe the hope released took its form in people like you, Yank, costumed adventurers. I understand how difficult this must be for you to believe, Yank. You don't have to believe it. If Hitler loses the urn, the blow to him may indeed turn the tide of the war. Our sources reveal that despite Hitler's want to use the superstitions of his people, he is also susceptible to those same superstitions. You have your orders.
I did not need to be ordered. My ancestor confirmed what the general and I had discussed. He told me what he had seen on the other side of this life. The hells that hid in the cracks of concrete reality. Pandora's box wasn't a box at all. It was an urn. As if the greatest threats to life itself could be so easily kept. So careless and fragile. So like the gods to damn us so easily.
If the urn was already open once, how could it have been opened again?
The scientists and scholars did their best to try and find an answer. My ancestor knew, though, and told me that the urn, for the thousands of years after it was hidden, had slowly drawn the initial spirits of destruction back into it. If the evil is naturally drawn back to the urn, shouldn't we be able to trap it again then? Without waiting thousands of years, I mean. The lenses allow you to shift your view to an electromagnetic spectrum. We believe this will allow you to see things invisible to the human eye, the things that originally came out of the urn. The device in your hand comes from Oppenheimer's crew as well. It operates similar to a Geiger counter, but, of course, it's not for testing radiation. My ghost didn't like this so-called scientific method of tracking evil. Bruce Carter, the first, wanted me to trust him, and him alone to know where these evil forces were.
Do you see them now, Bruce? Do you see what I was trying to protect you from? Because they now see you. They know you're watching them. What are you waiting for, Bruce? Open the urn! It's not working. Take off the mask! Take it off! Look through our eyes!
There was no way of knowing these things existed. No way of knowing, without seeing, that they had to be stopped. I stopped listening to the scientists and logicians right there, as if electromagnetic spectrums could save us. The creatures could be entrapped again. The true architects of all the suffering in the world would be stopped. My guide told me how, but it would come at a terrible cost. Those of us who could met in secret in Venice.
They can be stopped, but only at a great sacrifice to ourselves. Thanks, Devil. I knew I could count on you.
You shouldn't count on any of us, Yank. Listen to yourself. You're conflicted.
We're trying to bring reason back to the world, Yank. And you're talking about the boogeyman. Does anyone else think this urn of evil is ridiculous?
You tell us that the only way to stop these creatures, that only you have seen, is for us to be trapped in this urn with them?
Yes. Hope also has to be entrapped in the urn. So those who have been born of it must make that sacrifice. It's the only way to ensure that this evil is ensnared as well. The Allied forces will easily win the war once evil is entrapped and the natural balance has been restored.
We've seen some strange things in the course of this war. Yes. But what you're asking us to believe, and to sacrifice on your word alone. Yank, Bruce, it's ridiculous in the absence of evidence.
Here, maybe this will convince all of you. This is what one of those things, taken physical form, did to me.
Gosh! Yank, you need to get someone to look at that.
You're all looking at it. Don't you believe me now?
They couldn't believe. They wouldn't believe. They suspected the wound to be self-inflicted.
Yank, you know my story. You know where my power comes from and what I believe in. But you're talking about magic tricks to solve mankind's problems. And it doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. Yank, are you even listening to me? You tell us you talk to ghosts.
Of course, the flame didn't know he'd have to be the first inside, his power keeping the rest alive, and opening a path for them within.
Not ghosts, Ghost. My ancestor, my guide, my great-grandfather. How many times have I come up with an answer to something I couldn't possibly know? How many times has my sixth sense saved us all? That sixth sense is part of me. Inside me, it's real. Llama, you're a rational man. If one ghost were to exist, wouldn't it be possible for other invisible forces to exist as well?
Bruce, I want you to be reasonable. Sometimes, Yank, you talk to yourself.
For God's sake, I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to my ancestor.
They were humoring me. They couldn't see. And maybe that too was part of the way evil worked as well. To convince us that it wasn't real. That it couldn't be. So I continued to plan, continued to seek counsel with my guide. We fought side by side with the great men and women of that war. Fighting the Axis scourge, my allies, my friends, foolishly believed that the evil that hung over Europe could be brought to an end with only their fists. But they did not see, could not see, that every victory merely scraped the surface of something blacker beneath the surface. They could not have seen that the peace that had been bought was merely a change in tactics on the part of an enemy that had lost its confidence in its present agents. An enemy that even now prepared to change the landscape of the world and the nature of what we would come to fear. Hiroshima was the first to fall before the atomic bomb. The atomic bomb the Allied forces created to end the war. As all weapons are, an evil intended to end evil. Still, Japan refused to surrender. A second bomb was targeted in the city of Kokura. We had gone to try to stop the bombing by pleading with our enemy to surrender. It was supposed to be a peace mission. If I didn't do something, this day would be for nothing. I would not be given permission. I could see them, all around me, evil everywhere I looked, the creatures that were released from the box. My guide told me that because the creatures knew me now, that I could never be part of the hope that was trapped in the box, could never catch them unaware. It would have to be the others, beginning with the flame. I didn't know how, only that it would work. There were some things in the battle against evils not of this earth that you simply took on faith.
Yank, I'm glad you're here. I just heard that the mission has been scrubbed. The planes aren't dropping the bomb. I don't know how we did it, but we did. Thank God. Yank? What is it? What's that in your hand?
God was blessing my efforts to end evil. Our battle with the Japanese had created so much destruction. The wind and rage and smoke and debris from our battle to save Kokura did just that. It was believed by the Allies that there was a storm above the city. The target was changed. Nagasaki.
We may have saved this city, but the planes are not turning around.
I'm still amazed by what you can see, Samson.
I'll stop this.
I'll stop this. In the end, the beginning of our battle against evil was a success, because no one saw that happened. They were distracted by another evil, distracted by the symptoms of war while I fought to stop war itself. The flame's body was never found. There was speculation for years over what happened. How he must have been consumed by the fire everyone thought he could control.
It seems strangely appropriate to speak of ashes for this fallen champion, who believed in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and the promise of a new life in the world to come. But though we mourn our fallen friend this day, let us remember that there are some sparks that cannot be doused, some fires that, once lit, cannot be put out. Let us take comfort and know that we will see our friend again.
I'm returning to my order in Tibet. Despite my allegiance to the flag, I should have never gotten involved in this war. Yes, and with the loss of the flame, I'm sorry. I know what friends you were.
Yes, the OSS will have to change now that the war is over. But I think my involvement in the rebuilding of the world is going to be focused upon rebuilding the American economy, and as a citizen.
He was such a good man.
Yes, he was.
What's that? Ashes from Kokura.
Something like that.
Yank, what is this?
After the war, my former allies found new enemies to fight. But again, they were wasting their time. If anything, I was offering them the very means to defeat all they stood against. It took years. I was now CIA sanctioned in my efforts. I wish I could have trusted my friends to volunteer for this, but I could not risk debate, could not leave our security to the democratic process of the ignorant. Once my wartime allies were contained, it was on to the new heroes that kept springing up. Devil almost stopped me, but too much rested on me. All future generations depended on my vigilance. Upon my every return home, I would find my portrait, painted by the same artist who painted President Truman's White House portrait, more difficult to look at. My own image now seemed to mock me. But I also knew that if my friends could see what I could, were aware of the supernatural the way I was, they would have done the same.
Yes, if they could only see what you saw. But what did you see, exactly? And how did you know?
What? My mask. My ancestor. The power of the urn. They all guided my hand. I knew in my heart.
Your heart lied. Your ancestor was mistaken. The urn was a trap, both for you and your friends.
Enough!
You're confusing him. Can't you see that? Ah, your ghostly guidance, at last. Tell me, noble guide, how has the world changed? How have you spared humanity from the evils of sin? How have you guided your great-grandson to glory? In New York City, the cultural center of your planet, there is an organization of so-called super beings that holds the world ransom with its new technologies and greed. The people of this country are forced to cower before a militant police force whose fascism and cruelty itself suggests a different time in your nation's history. Your country's war in the East is being fought by soldiers reconstructed from the decayed and damaged tissue of soldiers who died in your previous conflicts. How can you say that you've done anything to stop or contain evil? It has simply taken a new form. Death, war, and poverty are still all around you. All you've done, Ghost, is to stop those who might have helped keep this from happening. I'm sure that's why you and your great-grandson were chosen. Because you, Bruce Carter I, believed evil would be that easy to stop. Because you, Fighting Yank, believed in ghosts and superstitions. Because you could be led by the words of ghosts to do their bidding.
You insult my honor, demon! How dare you impugn the sacrifice of my great-grandson ferried away for the common good?
They made no sacrifice. They were taken against their will to be trapped in limbo, unable to live or reach their final reward.
The new world was forged by the blood of many patriots.
I am the blood of those patriots.
I wanted to do the right thing.
You did, son.
I didn't know.
You should have. The world is not so simple.
Enough of this, my son. Trust in me, as you have always trusted in me.
Ask yourself, is there still evil in the world?
What can I do?
Leave this place. Seek out the Green Llama. He will know how to retrieve your friends from their entrapment.
The Green Llama. When I tell him what I've done, he'll kill me. I know he will.
The Green Llama already knows you're coming. He's waiting for you. And yes, you will die. But you must hurry, Bruce Carter. You must rescue your allies. Your world needs them, and you don't have much time left.
To be continued.
Fighting Yank's War Journal. Fighting Yank. Retired. War Journal. October 10th, 2008. It's been so long since I've looked upon this painting. Behold the Fighting Yank, painted in what now seems like a simpler time. This portrait served to inspire our troops and rally the forces of freedom. Now it serves nothing but a painful reminder of times long past and friends long lost.
Series co-plotter and art director Alex Ross not only crafted new designs for the heroes and villains seen in these pages, as well as new characters like the American Spirit and the Scarab, but the artist also created character guides and studies of the Golden Age iterations of these characters. As he was working on these studies and guides, Ross also provided pencil layouts for the Battle of Kokura, spread on pages 18 and 19, as this battle featured many heroes and villains from the Golden Age. As you see, series artist Steve Sadowski put his own mark on the final page. Here we present the creation of this scene. The Alex Ross pencil layout for issue number 0, pages 18-19. Steve Sadowski finished pencils for issue number 0, pages 18-19. The Alex Ross color guide for issues number 0, pages 18-19. And InLight Studio final colors for issue number 0, pages 18-19. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, that'd be appreciated. If you have any requests you want me to do, just let me know in the comments, and I'll put it on my Google document. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later.